Good morning. This podcast is driven by faith, built on work. Today we have Josh Trevilian with us, and we're super excited. So he is a realtor, Christian business owner, family man, and we know each other by a Tuesday group that we go to, and I'm super excited to have him today. So welcome, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Excited to get going on this.
Yeah, we are too. So we're really excited. First thing we're going to talk about is can you build wealth, honor God, and still maintain your family and integrity? So what inspired you to become a realtor? I guess would be the first question, because that's what you do.
Yeah. So I get this question asked a lot, and so I never really had my sights set on being a realtor.
Yeah.
So I started in the medical field. My father's whole side of the family, they're all in the medical field. So
Okay.
of course,
Like nurses or?
X-ray technician.
Okay.
Yeah. So X-ray technician, MRI. And of course, you know, the influence of our family, our fathers. So I was like, got to go to the medical field.
Yep.
Right? Recession proof.
Exactly.
Job
Always needed.
forever. Always needed, you know. So being in the hospital for 3 days a week, you know, 42, 44 hours in 3 days, and being such an entrepreneur mindset,
Yeah.
I knew that I had 4 days wasted. And so my brother owned a real estate company at the time, and he was like, Josh, you can build rapport with a rock. And he was like, you just need to use your talents. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I was a young kid, went to real estate school, got my real estate license, and ended up joining him in his brokerage. So I did medical 3 days a week and real estate 4 days a week. So when I went back to the hospital, I quickly said, hey, doctors, nurses, EMTs, firefighters, I'm a realtor as well. And so I had a pool of clients right there, readily available. And so after doing that, you know, for about 6 years of being an X-ray technician in real estate, well, I was making double amount of money in real estate as I was being an X-ray technician.
Yeah.
You know, and so my kids at the time were getting a little bit older, and so I had an opportunity to coach them in sports, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later.
That is cool.
But I realized that I was at a point in life where family was more important than anything that I was doing.
Yep.
So I went full-time real estate, and that's
Was that scary?
It was.
Because you know it's commission-based, so you know that if you're not selling, you're not making money. You're a father, you're a husband. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had the influence of my wife, so I always prayed to God that I would have a Midwestern farmer's daughter as a wife. And sure enough, he delivered.
Got one?
He delivered.
Right, there you go.
But also what I didn't understand was the values of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so that is a very structured 9-to-5 job, 401k, health insurance through your employer, and that is the box that they live in forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then so when I met my wife, she came out here with her best friend. Her best friend went to Midwestern Dental School.
Okay.
And she was a dental hygienist. So she just came out and I met her. She was in Arizona like 6 days and I met her. Yeah.
That's
so
God right there.
It was just God timing,
you
know, God's will. And then so when they found out I was a realtor, they were like, what are you gonna do like with this inconsistent income, things like that.
Yep.
And she had learned, you know, that I was having investment properties, you know, and I didn't have health insurance at all.
I pay cash if something happens, right?
Yeah, so it was one of those things, and you know, I'm still kind of the outcast in the family, you know, being married now 9 years, together 15 years.
Good for you.
We just spent Christmas there with her father, and her father's comment to my brother-in-law was, oh yeah, she's still supporting his ass. You know, and little do they know what world we live in.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it's definitely, you know, it took her some time to adapt to that. But again, I try to create that roller coaster ride as more of a consistent ride. And if you treat real estate like you do a full-time job, 40 hours a week, put into it, you're going to get out what you put into it.
Correct.
You know, a lot of realtors, they get into the game because they can build their own schedule, the freedom, the flexibility. Well, it's really hard to wake up and take yourself into your office and make those phone calls.
You have no boss. You don't have to really do. You can sit there all day if you want to, and you're waiting for the phone to ring. So
and that's it. You know, but if you treat it as a profession, as your professional career, then it's a very lucrative, you know, field. And then, you know, the good thing about us is we get to choose who we work with.
Yep.
You know, and so early on in my career, I was chasing everything under the sun. I was Chandler to Surprise, I was Maricopa to New River, you know, and now I specialize just in Surprise, Peoria, and
West
about West Valley and a little 10-mile radius. You know, and my involvement with all of our extracurricular stuff, you know, brings in enough clients to where we have a fun life.
Do you feel like for people that are watching that want to go into the real estate, do you feel like that was, you being strictly in the West Valley, do you feel like that's an advantage or a disadvantage in the beginning or where you're at now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anyone that's watching right now, if you want to get into real estate, I would say hone in on a specific area, most likely your backyard, because here's a couple things to consider.
Yeah.
If I'm going to take a listing, and I live in Surprise, if I'm going to take a listing out in Gilbert, it's 50 miles away. So there could be lockbox issues. The keys are sometimes not put back. And then also you don't know about the building. You don't know about the growth that's happening. So if I'm driving by Pat Tillman Boulevard on 163rd, I can tell you that there's a First Watch coming in. I can tell you there's Jimmy John's. I can tell you there's a Valvoline, a hospital.
There we go.
Then the growth, you know, the infrastructure that's coming. I can't tell you that in Gilbert. I can't tell you what it's like on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock on Germain and Higley.
Exactly.
I can't tell you that. And then so I can't come off as a neighborhood expert because I would be lying to you.
Yeah.
And then it's not. It's doing a disservice to my clients because I am not putting you in the best possible outcome to get the most amount of money.
Yeah.
So I always say go to somewhere where you specialize in. Also, number two, driving. You know, if you have a listing, more or less, you're going to get sign calls for that listing. Are you going to go drive 50 miles to go open up a door for a potential tire kicker?
For 2 minutes?
And that's just it. You know, now with all the rules changes, you have to have a buyer broker sign to show properties. So there's a little bit more concrete of your buyer, you know, about, you know, actually them becoming a client.
Correct. Yep.
But before, you know, I mean, before the lawsuit happened, you know, we used to put people in our car and said, hey,
let's go.
Lunch is on me. Let's go open up doors and we'll get you pre-qualled out there if you find something.
Right.
You know, the things have changed dramatically over the years, you know, and so that's what I would say is get an area that you're comfortable with, you know, and also the third thing is don't chase luxury. Everybody wants to go and close the DC Ranch, the Greyhawk Ranch, you know, the
$2 million deal, $1 million listing.
The McCormick Ranch. Yes, you know, it's great, you know, to do the same amount of work and make 3 times the amount of money.
Correct.
But also you're not in their wine club. You're not in their pickleball sessions. You're not living their day to day. So it's almost like if you're eating an apple and want it to taste like an orange. You're not going to be there. So I would say tone in on something that you're very comfortable with. You know, we live in a tract home. We're building a custom home now. So I can speak real highly about, you know, HOAs, community pools, 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 2-bath, you know, homes that you're going to have a family in.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Yeah.
Nowadays, are you still seeing young families that are buying, or does it feel like because of the economy where we're at, is it starting to become harder to buy a house if you're under... I bought my first house at 20. So is it harder to buy a house when you're under 25 now, or are the same people getting approved, or does it seem like it's getting a little bit harder for those same people to get into a home?
Yeah, you know, what we see is the average age is getting a little bit older.
Okay.
And I think the reason for that is they're coming out with their student loans. They're coming out, you know, with a child already, you know, so they have daycare costs. I mean, my daycare cost is $375 a week, you know, so it's hard to overcome that with a lot of the money going out to other places.
Yep.
I would say right now, if there's a first-time home buyer looking, you know, first-time home buyer programs are great. Sometimes they're not the best option only because they come with a higher interest rate. Yep. Or they don't come with a forgivable second, which would be, you know, a down payment assistance.
Yep. Okay.
But seller concessions right now are big. So seller concessions is money that the seller is giving you to go and buy the house.
Nice.
Free. You don't have to pay that back. So we're doing, you know, 2 1-rate buy downs, which buys down your interest rate, or we're using it as closing costs. Yeah. You can't use seller concessions as a down payment. That's the only problem. So the down payment is the key. Are you going to go FHA at 3.5% or conventional at 5%?
Okay.
Also, the new builds. The new builds right now have interest rates that are 3.99. They're also giving 1% incentives
That's
for
good.
closing costs, so things like that.
You have to use their lenders. You have to use their.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, in order to get those incentives. But what I would say is, if you're not closed-minded as to drive just a little bit further west,
Yep.
there are new builds out there that you can get right now at $399,000.
Well, that's not bad at all.
1,800 square foot home. And so my big thing is, if you have a desire for home ownership and the equity and just kind of the freedom that it brings,
Yeah.
go and explore every single option that you have, because a lot of times we're, just pounded in our head that it's 20% down, it's this, it's that. I met a gentleman at an open house and they're paying $2,800 for rent. I said,
Holy cow.
I can show you how to get into this house. I pulled up a mortgage calculator, of course. I said, this is estimates.
Yep.
And I pulled up the P&I, which was going to be $2,200. You add in taxes and insurance. Taxes out here in Arizona, anyone watching, we have some of the cheapest taxes
Yep,
in all
we
of
sure do.
all of America. So,
Yep.
$1,600, a year for taxes
Yeah.
breaks down to about $120 a month. Homeowners insurance, about $100 a month.
So for $2,400,
$2,500
they're going to
approximate.
become an owner instead of a renter.
And he was shocked, and he said, "I'm paying $300 extra dollars a month for this renter, this landlord, when I can own this." And that's when you kind of see that aha moment. He had a nice little 3-year-old with
Yep.
him, and of course we were talking about dads and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
There's no greater feeling than walking through that door and hearing "daddy, daddy, daddy" down a hallway.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that you have ownership in that home.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no greater feeling than that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you said how long you've been doing real estate now? 9 years?
So full-time, 9 years.
Okay.
Part-time with the hospital, 16 years.
16 years.
16 years.
So when it comes to like the first, say 1 or 2 years, you were kind of juggling both. But I would say when you became a full-time real estate agent, what were some of the biggest obstacles that you were facing? I mean, I know it's a different time because obviously 10 years ago, it was just a different economy, rates were a little bit different. So just kind of talk about what were some of those obstacles that you were looking at.
Yeah, so obstacles is, you don't have a for sure income coming in no more. So you can't bank away on $2,600 coming in every 2 weeks and hitting your account. You know? So then your mind shift changes to, okay, if I'm gonna get $10,000 on this one commission check, I started to break things down into threes.
Okay.
So 33% went into a savings account for Uncle Sam, taxes.
Oh yeah.
33% went into my pocket as profit, and then 33% went into a marketing budget.
Okay.
Because I knew that if I wasn't going to market myself, how were people going to see me?
Correct.
And I think right now the biggest hurdle for real estate agents is, how do I be seen? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to make a house go viral, things like that. Well, chances are, if you're going to go viral, number one, all of those bots, that are your friends, are not going to end up buying that home.
Correct.
So I would say, doing the marketing to where money is well spent. So we do mailers to neighborhoods.
Okay.
Not every door direct mail. We have a title company that gives us a list of.
And then you send out accordingly. Okay.
And then so I made it more personalized. So I recorded videos of my kids. I have stamps with my brand on it. So we stamp when we fold the envelope over, and that little triangle point goes there. I stamp it right there.
That's
so
cool.
They know that it's hand stamped. I write my name as a return address. I write their address on, so it's hand stamped, hand. Everything is done with the intention of, hey, this is top-notch service to you, and that goes a long way.
I was going to say, you see a difference in that compared to just it being printed on something and just going out.
Absolutely. Perfect. Because if I knew that I was getting $2,500 every 2 weeks, I was out here buying leads, I was doing this, I was buying a CRM.
Yeah.
Well, now when you don't have that security blanket, now every dollar you spend, it needs to be tracked, and it needs to be to where you're actually going to get results from that. And so it makes you rework your brain of saying, all right, I'm not just going to chase all those shiny objects where realtors, they get in the habit of doing that. It's, no, I'm going to do this with the intention of this. I'm going to track it for X amount of time, and then I'm going to know if it works or not. Because a lot of the times, realtors, we'll throw something for 30 days and we'll say, oh yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, of course not.
Yeah. 30 days is not long enough.
It's not long enough.
Not at all.
It's just like, our marriage.
Yep.
You got to work at it every day.
Yes.
And right now, we've been married 9 years, going to our second marriage boot camp,
Yeah.
and we're still working every single day, and
Yeah.
this is 9 years.
Oh yeah.
So if we think that something's gonna throw it out and stick in 30 days, think again.
Exactly.
Normally it takes anywhere from about 4 to 6 months. And so if you have that mindset of, I don't need results right this second. I need to know that I'm doing the consistent things that are going to build the results.
Yep.
And that's where you really start to get the wealth.
Yeah, because what people don't understand, and even in our industry, it's like you have a pipeline. And someone may come in today, but may not buy a piece of equipment for another 30 days because either they're trying to save, they're trying to find financing, maybe they're waiting for a job to hit so they can go. So it's kind of the same with real estate. It's like you start building that pipeline 6 to 12 months out. Then when you sell a house, all of a sudden 2 days later, you may get something that was 3 months ago. Now they're ready to buy. Maybe they were waiting to get out of a rental contract, or maybe they were waiting for some finances, or maybe they're waiting for a big bonus so they can put a down payment. So people need to realize it's like a pipeline it really does matter in almost every single industry that you're in.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because when you have a security blanket coming in, you're just worried about hot clients right now.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, if you're a realtor or if you're thinking about getting into real estate, that is the fastest way to burn out.
Yep.
Because you are just constantly waiting for a hot buyer when you meet so many people along that journey.
Yep.
That some are going to be hot, some are going to be warm, some are going to be cold. But if you put the right follow-up, you put the right systems into place, that is your money right there. You know. And another thing too is how you treat your past clients. So it's an A, B, and C transaction. So A and B is the closing of that deal. So you and I go into a purchase contract, I close. Okay, now closing, I show up with a Blackstone or whatever makes you happy, and then you never see me again. Well, the real money is made from the follow-up, because now the average person knows 200 people. And so if you refer me 3 or 4 people, well, now that's 3 or 4 times the amount of money that I just made from A and B.
Yep.
And so if you don't have a security blanket coming in, well, guess what? That's how you make your security blanket, is treating those past clients, because those are your raving fans.
Oh yeah.
And so if you can keep them engaged and keep them, referring to you, and hopefully you provided a good enough service that they do,
that they're happy. Yep.
That is where you start to build that out. So the biggest adjustments that I made was, okay, we got to track everything.
Yep.
We got to treat everybody as if they're going to buy until they tell us not to.
Yep.
And then just know that, hey, we have to think 30, 60, 90 days. This isn't a today game.
Correct.
Yeah.
So starting out, what do you think was your biggest mistake that you did in the beginning that you look back now and you're like, man, that taught me a lesson? Or maybe it was like, hey, I probably shouldn't have done that. Do you have anything that kind of taught you that lesson in the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was
it? It was the hardest thing that I had to experience in business and in my marriage.
Okay.
So I'm a very A personality. I'm ADHD. I am just go like bull in a china shop, And then so I put my credit card into a lead form to a lead company to get leads.
Yeah.
So I bought that. I bought the best CRM. I was buying, as much swag as I possibly could. I was buying every single thing that I thought was going to lead me into the promised land of $1 million, And looking back on it, I maxed out both of my credit cards, and then without my wife knowing, I maxed out three of hers. Yeah, and she didn't even know.
She was not happy.
And she was not happy. So we're $52,000 in debt right now. Yeah, I'm making a bare minimum payment on 5 credit cards, so that.
Interest is sky. Yeah, never.
So I was at about $3,200 just in credit card fees on these transactions.
Every month.
Yeah, every month.
Oh.
And I look my wife straight in the face and I say, "We got to file bankruptcy." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "And by the way, I maxed out your 3 credit cards."
And she had no idea.
She had no idea.
Oh.
And because I was so gung-ho about getting my business where it needed to be, that I was overlooking every single thing, and every single warning sign that was coming at me, I was missing it because I just was laser focused on one thing, and that was money, and success.
Yep.
And so what that really taught me was, all right, you got yourself into this. Now you got to get yourself
back out.
Now you got to get yourself back out of it. So I had that conversation with her about bankruptcy. She said, absolutely not. That is not even remotely a choice that I'm going to go down.
Yep.
What are you going to do to fix it? And I said, okay. So I rolled up my sleeves, open houses, and God's great, provided me a couple closings. So I had 3 closings in 1 month, 42,000. Put that chunk down, then we paid off the rest, cut them up. And that really taught me, number one, communication.
Oh, yeah.
Communication is
especially with your wife.
Especially with your wife, yeah.
Yes.
But just not only that, it led me into communication with our clients, with everyone, because a lot of the times we're afraid to have those hard conversations.
Oh, yeah.
If the deal's not going right or something's going wrong, whatever that is, if you put it off, you have so much weight on your shoulders that you're making it so much monumental, to where if you just tackle that right then and there. So early on in my career, my brother, being an entrepreneur he is, he had me reading all these books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, John Maxwell,
all the common ones,
all the common ones. And Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. Okay. I don't know if you've ever ate that.
No.
Ever ate that book?
Ever read it? Yeah. No, I have not.
But so Eat That Frog, the whole entire gist of the book is take on the biggest hurdle very first in the morning.
Okay.
Because that way it doesn't weigh on you all day long. Because if you're just weighing on it all day long, think about all the things that you're missing, because that's all you're concentrating on.
That makes sense.
So Eat That Frog means take on that biggest task, that ugly task, that phone call,
going to the gym,
just
phone call.
Do it right in the morning time, because the rest of the day is going to be a breeze. You just tackle the hardest thing that you have to tackle that day. Yeah. Now the rest is a breeze, because now you clear up your mind.
That's smart.
And you get to see everything else, because we're so distracted on a problem that we don't ever see anything else. Yeah. And so that's
good knowledge.
Yeah. So that really taught me, and now every decision I do, of course, I pull in my wife and I say, hey, what do you think about this? And it's a mutual agreement now, because, of course, I was spending $20,000 of her money. Oh, yeah. Well, the bank's money under her name.
Exactly, under
she
her name.
She had no idea. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So that would be, so you rolled up your sleeves, you got going, you paid it off. What's some sacrifices that, if someone's starting real estate, what are sacrifices that you have to give up to be successful in real estate? Yeah, the sacrifices is your time. Okay. So it's either time or money. Mm-hmm. So pick which one is your hard. Yeah. So dedicate time. Time is free. Of course, time is time. But, doing open houses is free. Doing webinars online is free. Calling is free. You can go out to title companies. You can get a list of people who might potentially be buying. But I just say, get into your community. Get involved in as much things of your community. And we were always told this at an early age. If you like, hiking, go join a hiking club. If you like pickleball, it's big right now. Go play pickleball, because now you're going to get into rooms that you share the same passion for, and people want to do business with people who they know, like, and trust. Okay. Well, how do you build know, like, and trust? You have to get in and talk to people. You gotta be around people. Yes. In a world where everything is done with social media and our phones, they lack that. So right now we're working on a project that we'll probably release next year. Okay. And I got this from watching the news. I hardly ever turn on the news. Yeah, me either. Yes. I just happen I happen to have the news on one day, drinking some coffee, and Channel 10. That gentleman was going through a kitchen with his microphone, interviewing the chef, watching the chef cook, things like that. And I was like, I got it. So I wanted to go into our local community and to surprise all business owners right there, just interview them. Yeah. Hey, tell me about yourself. Why did you open up, let's just say roofing company, or why, I would come to you and say, Jason, why did you open up paint equipment sales? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about, are you married, kids, So now the consumer gets to see the personal side of that person, and then interview them, and then do a little work while do a video while they're working. Yeah, that's smart. So now you get to showcase everything.
And then you run the leads into that business owner, because now guess what that business owner is going to do in return?
Give leads to you.
Hey, I'm fixing your roof. Why are you fixing your roof? Oh, I'm going to sell my house. Oh,
perfect.
I know the realtor. And then now get community partners involved to where we all get to grow together, because
awesome.
we're only as good as our community.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So you do that in your local. So for you, you'll do it out in Surprise and over in that area?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So it's a passion of mine to really highlight and grow and elevate everyone together, because then ultimately when they grow, we grow.
Yeah, you grow together.
And I'm also involved in our church.
Yep.
Real big into CCV with
awesome.
our missionary team. And
you're a soccer coach?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it again?
Oh yeah.
All right, just going to keep going. I like it.
Yeah.
We have a joke, because every time the league is over, he says he's not going to do it again, and then all of a sudden he's sucked back in it because he loves
absolutely,
it. Yep,
absolutely.
that's good.
We just got done coaching 4 teams this year.
That's cool. Yeah,
but it was.
That's
funny.
a lot.
It is. It's a demand.
It is.
But
I coached one YMCA team with my son, and it was a long 8 weeks. I'm not going to lie. I can imagine doing 4 different teams. I mean, I did one team, and that was a lot. So I can imagine doing what you're doing.
So I had one stipulation, and that was you cannot link all the teams together, as meaning that they're going to play in the same times, because I'm not a coach.
You can't do that.
2 teams were volunteer team. I don't even have kids on the team.
Look at that.
So
that's cool.
So I needed to make sure that I still watch both of my kids play, and then extracurricular with those. Yeah, with those.
Did you play soccer?
I did.
Okay, so you have a background in it. Okay.
Yeah, played college 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
Fighting Artichokes, Scottsdale.
Oh, okay. Scottsdale Community, right?
Scottsdale Community, yeah. So I graduated in 05. Soccer wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
It's definitely taken over globally.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a couple key schools, that you wanted to go to. One of them being Yavapai.
Okay.
So I grew up in Prescott.
Yep.
Yavapai Rough Riders. They were probably the #1 JUCO team ever.
I would never expect that in Prescott.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Always went to Allen, Texas, and won every single year. So Hugh Bell and Mike Pantalone were the coaches. Well,
Okay.
Hugh Bell was our coach.
Oh, for Scottsdale.
Bradshaw. No, for my high school.
Oh, for high school. Okay.
Yeah. And then so our senior year, of course, we're seniors.
Yeah.
We would ditch practice, go up to Snow Bowl,
Yeah.
go rip some
Go-
snow.
yep.
Yeah, have some fun, And so when I graduated, my coach comes up to me and he goes, Josh, he goes, you're all state, all region, all conference. He goes, you're my starter on varsity as a freshman.
Good for you.
He goes, I can't have you on my team. I said, why, coach? He goes, you're not dedicated enough.
Wow.
He goes,
that hit different.
He goes, you would be up at Snow Bowl while we're down here practicing. And I said, you're right, coach. I said, absolutely. And then so the kid from Millennium High School that I played against, that I know very well, went and took my starting position up there.
Whoa. Oh,
yeah.
That was probably kicking the gut.
Oh man, but he called the coach at Scottsdale and said, hey man, you're getting an awesome player, which great, but consolation prize.
Exactly.
I was like, dang. And so that's what I instill in my kids right now, because both of my kids, they're really good, and I don't force them to play soccer. They just like soccer.
That's cool.
But I said, guys, dedicate yourselves now, because you never know what's coming.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know how good you can actually be.
Yep.
So we ended up getting my daughter a running coach. My son's 8, and so he'll probably join in there as well. But
do you see athletes in them already, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They got that drive.
They
get it from dad.
And my daughter's 12 and she's 5'7".
Oh.
So we're trying to get her
Man.
into volleyball and basketball.
Yeah, I know. Our daughter plays volleyball. She's 5'10", 5'11", so she's up there. So I definitely know. I played basketball, so I went to Ironwood, played basketball there, and then played in college. I didn't play for a college. I just played after college and did a lot of men's leagues and then 30-plus leagues. So I've been playing basketball since I was 7 years old. My dad was All-American in down south at Marana. So he was same thing. He was a freshman playing on varsity at 2 different. So he played 1 year at one school, and then his sophomore year he went up to Marana and played varsity there. And then ended up going to some JUCO schools in the Midwest, NEO and Baker University, which is out in Oklahoma. So he played out there too. And he was a pitcher, he was a tight end, he played basketball. So I had that drive too from, it runs in the family very, very well and very fast. I was the only one to play out of all 6 of our siblings, but I definitely know that drive. So it's definitely
fits
cool.
You perfect. Cause
I know, 6'8", yes,
yeah.
I'm 6'8". So it was something, I still love it to this day. I'm getting older. I'm almost 40, so shoulders, you know how it is. You get older, it's not as easy to kind of move like you used to, but you know, you get there.
I was gonna say, you're the only one that makes your F450 look small.
Exactly.
Because you're like that.
I get in and they're like, holy cow. I know, it's weird. It's like, if I had a normal size truck, it just wouldn't, I would feel like a giant getting into it. Right. So I definitely understand that.
Absolutely.
So as far as your business, how has God influenced the business that you're in today, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, early in my career, I was trying to do it my way.
Yeah.
And just as I was trying to do life and everything my way, and my way led me into dark holes, debt, you know, nowhere good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, about 2 years ago is when I really released everything to God. I got baptized in 2013 when my daughter was coming to this world.
Yeah.
But I made the decision to get baptized, but I wasn't devoted Christian at that point.
Okay.
You know, I got baptized because I wanted to lead by example.
Yep.
But that's kind of one of those things where I did the motion, but I wasn't practicing what I ultimately
practice
made
what you
the
preach
sacrifice
kind of thing.
for
Yep.
of getting baptized. And so about 2 years ago, I joined our missionary team at church.
Okay.
And that's when I really just dove in and I said, you know what? I've been doing it my way this whole time, and I can't control things.
Nope.
Because control is a God category.
Yep.
We don't have any control. And I heard our pastor talk about this early on about December when they were doing the control series. Everything that we try to control, we make it worse.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at that, I can use examples for days.
I think everyone could.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and then just giving it to God and letting us know that, hey, like, we're not in control. We can't predict the future. That's
Not
a
at all.
God category.
Yep.
We're humans. We don't have that part of our brain to foresee that or make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's where your obedience really comes into play.
Yeah.
And so, you know, last weekend at our church, our pastor Ashley, you know, we're doing the book of Esther right now.
Okay.
And it said faith over fear. Now, fear is still going to exist, but faith over fear, even if. And that hit me like a ton of bricks.
That's cool.
Dude, I sent that sermon yesterday to 20 of my friends that all run businesses.
Yeah.
And I said, guys, watch this.
Yes.
Because even if you go into debt, even if you don't get the mega mansion that you want, even if you're obedient into the way that God wants you to go, He'll work it out because He has a plan.
Yeah.
And God's way is always the best way.
Always the best way.
You know, and so about 2 years ago, you know, we dove in. We still haven't read the Bible, so that's on us. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But we did tithing. We went all in on tithing.
That's
awesome. And then so with my industry, you know, it doesn't come as $2,000 paychecks. You know, sometimes it's 12 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand.
Yep.
So cutting over $3,000 or $2,000 it's tough.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're like, whoa, like that's my mortgage payment.
Yep.
But knowing that 90% of that money will be a lot further than that 100%.
Oh yeah.
And it's the only time in the Bible where He says, test me.
Yeah.
It's the only time. So, you know, once you really start to live God's way, I think is where you start to see all these beautiful things happen.
Yes.
You know, and that's where Copper Lux Homes came from.
Okay.
So I was, again, you know, in debt. I was, you know, going down a path of nowhere. I said, God, it's all to you. Here you go. I sat my kids down and my wife down in the living room and I said, guys, I said, do you want me to continue in real estate? And my son looks me in the eyes and says, Dad, you drive us to school every single morning. He goes, that is sometimes the greatest 20 minutes of my day. And
that's powerful.
Bro, I was like, yeah, because I'm taken for granted, right? Like I'm stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
You're
mad.
Yeah,
oh,
right.
Yeah.
But this is their time that, you know, we're singing songs. My daughter and my son, they like to play their songs. So Sunflower, my son, you know, Post Malone, and my daughter's Taylor Swift and stuff. And, you know, so we're playing songs, we're singing along. We have a sign game that we play, so we do the signs on, you know, A to 3 or A to Z on the signs. And it's fun. And then they go to school and they come home, and you know, I was taking that for granted. I didn't know how important it was to them. You know, so when I asked him, and he goes, Dad, I don't want you to have to go and not do that anymore. And I was like, okay, boom, done. I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay in real estate. I was like, guys, do you know that you guys are the most important thing to me besides God? I said, I will do anything and everything for you. And it hit me. So my son's name is Crew.
Yeah.
My daughter's name is Landry, and my oldest is named Hallie.
Okay.
And I was like, I know I wanted to do something for Arizona, the
Yeah.
state of Arizona, because I'm born and raised. I'm a native.
Me too.
But everything was state 48. So I wanted to differentiate myself. So I went copper.
Yeah.
Copper state, right?
Yep.
And then Holmes was a shoe-in.
Yep.
And then my wife was like, well, what about Landry? And I was like, oh.
There you
I
go.
was like, luxury. I was
Yeah.
like, done. So Copper Lux Homes, CLH, for my kids. And
That's
so
cool.
the luxury doesn't stand for I'm selling luxury homes at
Yeah.
DC Ranch. Luxury is the experience.
Yes.
The communication. When we get the house under contract, you're getting a Starbucks gift card.
Yeah.
When we pass the inspection, you're getting a Home Depot gift card. Things like that.
That's cool.
I have an all about me sheet that
Yeah.
I get to learn all about you. So when I do a closing gift, it's not just a random champagne bottle
it's
or
not
stuff like that.
exactly.
It's
yeah.
dedicated to the family. I
That's
get to know the kids' names, the kids' age,
And that makes a big difference. I know it does.
Huge.
Oh yeah. I know for us, we've closed on a few houses, and yeah, you get. I got like a Snoop Dogg bottle of wine and some cornhole, and I'm like, I don't drink wine or play cornhole.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does. I think that's what kind of sets you apart from a lot of people, is that you really dig down into the family, and I think people are drawn to that because they see how much of a father you are, a leader, a husband, and how much you care about what you're doing and the business you're in and the family that you're taking care of. So I think that really attracts people to what you're doing. So it's definitely cool to see. So.
Yeah, in my industry, it's authenticity.
Yes.
So I see a lot of realtors, I'm friends with a lot of them, that on closing day, they spend $300 on a balloon,
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, walk-through balloon
Yeah.
thing. Like, spend that money on the family. Like, save
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
that balloon's going to go dead in 2 days.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like to do a lot of my Facebook ads that you'll see. A lot of the stuff that I do, there's no B-roll in it.
Yeah.
There's zero. It's just cut right off the cusp. It's me talking to my audience, and it's nothing that is put together, Photoshop.
Yeah.
My teeth,
Scripted.
Yeah,
Yes.
like not teeth whitening, enhancing, things
Yep.
like that. It's me talking to the audience, and I'll give you an example. So I have a listing right now in Rancho Cabrillo, which is North Peoria.
Okay.
And she had a dirt backyard, a divorcee mom, and she's going through a lot in her life, and she wants the most amount of money for her home.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you're not going to do that with a dirt backyard. So I called up Alex,
Okay.
K5, shout out to K5.
All right, there we go, Alex.
And I got a front loader
Okay.
that you walk behind.
Yeah.
Had 25 ton of rock delivered, and I went and laid 25 ton of rock in
Whoa.
her backyard.
That's cool.
And I just said, you know what, this is something that I want to help with you and get your house sold and get you on to the next chapter. And she was like, Josh, I've never had a real estate agent do that. And I was like, that's because they don't.
Yeah.
People think real estate is put a sign in the front yard, put it on MLS, because it goes to Zillow and
Yep.
everything is done at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just going that extra little 2 or 3,
Yeah.
steps.
Uh-huh.
And that's how you win clients over. That's how you become known in your community. I'm not the person that's going to make your house go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and do funny dances in the driveway.
No, you don't need to do
But
that.
I am going to showcase your house in a way that it attracts buyers. I am going to go in and paint it, stage it,
That's
and
cool.
get you the most amount of money for your home.
And you put in that rock in the backyard probably cost you $1,000.
$1,500.
Exactly. $1,500. Is it already sold? Did you sell it? Or is it currently?
Currently listed.
Okay, currently listed. So someone's going to go back there and see the rock and be like, it's way better than looking in the dirt. Right. So that $1,500 could turn into another, maybe a full ask, or it could turn into something that more than what you put into it. And I feel like God's going to bless you way more because you went and did that extra step, because she's not going to go back there and do it. She's already a single mom, it sounds like. She's already having trouble. She just went through a divorce. Her husband ex-husband probably should have done that in the beginning. You go and do that stuff, and that's what's going to go the extra mile, and people are going to see that. And she's going to remember that and tell her friends, hey, Josh did this for me at my house. What can he do for you at your house? So I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and I don't know if you want to go down this hole or not, but you've had some hard times in real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about when you had your brokerage and how that turned out.
Oh, yeah. So I won't name the brokerage.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, but we built a business for 5 years, a business partner and I.
Okay.
We built it. I was flying to 17 states. We had agents all over the USA.
How many employees or agents did you have under you?
So in this particular brokerage,
Yeah.
it was kind of a multi-level.
Okay.
And then so all together in our whole entire downline that you would call it, or agent count, there was 2,500.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I was out in Dallas meeting with a 300-person brokerage. Yeah, I'll show you the pictures afterwards.
Yeah.
But, I got to speak. We had it set up really good. I had a 90-day playbook for new agents. We'd come in, we'd brand them with their own logo.
Okay.
We had a VA that would do all that stuff. We gave them go high level. So it was a business in a box.
Okay.
We were flying to St. Louis, Maine, Alabama, Texas, California. I wrote my first California purchase contract. I'm not licensed.
Good for you.
It was with a licensed
of course.
agent, but
Yes.
I was there assisting him on Coronado, which was awesome.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
And for 4 years, we were together.
Okay.
And we were making about $90,000 a month. Wow. Which was amazing.
That's a lot of money.
Life-changing money.
Yes.
And so up into year 5, that's when our contract ended, and then we would become business partners. Well, I didn't know I signed, or I wasn't educated enough to know that I signed a partner agreement rather than a business agreement.
Okay.
So I was almost essentially like an employee.
Yeah.
And so, we're making $90,000 a month. Now, when I very first came into this, we were only making $12,000 a month. Yeah. So that's how much we grew this thing.
In only 5 years.
In only 5 years.
Wow.
I mean, we were moving.
Yeah.
We were in Hawaii. We were doing all the things. And a week before, and we'll get to there, we sit down at dinner. We were at a nice steakhouse. I think it was Donovan's.
Yeah, Donovan's. Yeah.
Donovan's or something. And we're having a nice steak dinner. My business partner looks at my wife and says, "How does it feel to be a stay-at-home mom? You made it. I'm sure these kids are going to be all excited." Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And we're all celebrating. Week later, I served attorney papers, and her daughter wanted to get in on the mix, and so money magnifies the heart, and that's kind of what I've determined, and you can run over your own family, for money, and unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. So. Instead of splitting 45-45, I saw it all just get ripped out. And so I'm sitting in that attorney's office, and I was like, well, what about all the proprietary stuff? I was like, I train these guys.
Yeah, your playbooks, all the other stuff. Yes.
I was like, the knowledge that they have now, their logos, their brand, how to do real estate, go high level, how to run the ads, the landing pages, like all of that stuff. Like, what's it for? And he said, well, you see in here in the business agreement, it's all of it is.
It's all theirs.
It's all theirs, So I left there, and that's about 2 years ago, when I sat my family down, and kind of was at the darkest crossroads in my life.
And the reason I bring it up is not to rehash any emotions. It's just, I wanted to show people, what do you think God taught you in that? I mean, looking back at it now, what do you think God taught you as far as, were you chasing money? Do you know where your heart was at that point? Were you chasing more of the money? Did you like the action, or did you feel like you were pushing your family away, so God brought you back in? I mean, what do you think God was teaching you in that moment?
Yeah, I think that it's money, and control.
Yeah.
We were in control of these so-called agents. We didn't have control, but we were controlling it.
Yeah.
And I just think that with that type of money, I wasn't tithing, number one. I wasn't in any community activities because I was traveling all the time.
Yeah, you're busy 24/7.
We were busy 24/7. Everything was just, how do we get the next deal?
Yeah.
And life was moving so fast, and I really didn't take in all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes, the turmoil, the greed that was going on, all the fancy dinners and all that stuff. Well, yeah, once you experience that for a little bit of time, you kind of crave it. And we're human. We all like the finer things in life.
Exactly.
So I'm sitting there in a Louis Vuitton store contemplating on buying my, at the time, 9-year-old a Louis Vuitton purse. Like, what in the heck? I'm sitting in Vegas,
right.
Caesar's Palace, how they have all the shops.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, Dad, I just love it. And I'm sitting there like, how am I going to spend $3,900
exactly on a purse
for a 9-year-old?
Oh yeah.
Like, I just had things so backwards, and it's very, very humbling now looking back on it and overcoming that. Now in that season, I was depressed, I was lonely, I almost gave up on real estate, I almost gave up on everything. But just like a lotus flower, it grows out of the deepest, darkest mud, crud. That's where Copper Lux Homes came from.
Yeah.
That's where the focus of It's All About Community came from. Yeah. That's where those deep conversations with my kids about how much they love spending time with me in the morning. That's where all that came from. And cool. So, when you look back on it, those seasons, God is there. Yeah. But we don't see it. We don't give all glory to him.
Push them away. Hey, God, you've already blessed me, so thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, right. I made it. I don't need you no more. And then when you hit rock bottom, sometimes God brings you back down to rock bottom to say, hey, hello, I'm here. Yep. That ain't for you over there. Exactly. We were, in that brokerage, there was some mix up with people in the higher ups. They were doing some things that were not good. There's lawsuits that came out on it and things like that, and so, now looking back on it now with all these other brokerages that are popping up, that specific agent count that we have is I would probably almost say it's cut in half, so that would have been great up until what now? Yeah. Until where now they have so many options. Compass buying anywhere. Now they're the largest brokerage. Oh, yeah. Real buying Remax. And now you're going to see all these powerhouses like 4 or 5. Yep. And these agents.
They're just going to swallow everyone up.
Right. So it was God saying, hey, I'm going to pull you out of there right now. Yep. I'm going to show you what's important. We're going to build this right now because what's happening right now. Yeah. You're already on a trajectory and momentum to bypass what you had already had.
That's cool.
And will I get to 45 grand a month? Maybe. Yeah. But you know what? I don't need it. Exactly. Because I see what's important to me now, and what I'm doing right now provides that, and in addition to. Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, you just look back and you say, God has a funny sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of one of those things.
I got plenty of those stories.
It's thank you, buddy. Yep. And hindsight's always 20/20.
It is. And then that kind of leads into our next section, balancing family with business. I mean, how we're both married, we both work. I work a little bit closer with Danielle every single day. So how do you avoid burnout? What's one thing that you do so you're not burning yourself out so you can't enjoy the family anymore? Is there anything that you do that helps with that, or any suggestions to people?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the process of processes. Okay. Developing processes. First time ever in my life, I hired a real estate coach.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I have a real estate coach now. We're integrated into processes. So everything has a process. Perfect. Everything is done intentionally. Okay. And with a purpose. And so, he's helped me really get into past clients, stay in touch with them more. When I get home, my computer closes. That's awesome. I made a mistake. I was texting him on a weekend and he was like, bro, my daughter's birthday. I'll call you on Monday. I was like, fair enough. Yep. Thank you. Yep. That's exactly where I'm going.
That's cool.
Because yes, we're realtors. You
think if someone's going to call, it's a deal right there. You need to answer it. Right. Oh yeah.
And on my Google business page, I have hours. Yep. And he said, your business closes at 6. Yeah. Why are you still answering the phone?
Exactly.
I said, yeah, you're right. He goes, if there's a client or a lead or anything else that needs to get in touch with you, it can wait until the next business day.
100%.
Because when we call a business that closes at 5 o'clock, are we talking to? No. They're calling us back the next day.
The next day, yep.
And, with internet leads coming in, with sign calls coming in, things like that, we have now a QR code that they can go, get the information on. We have our follow-up systems through our CRMs and things like that. So putting those places in, and at the end of this year, I'm trying to bring Brianna into the business to where now she's full-time. Yeah.
You think that's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say bad. I mean, that's not the way to really say it. It's more, do you think it's gonna be harder as a married couple to, Danielle and I do it all the time. It's like, how do you go from business partners talking about the business to husband and wife? And then my big thing for us is, when do I turn it off? Yeah. Because we'll go to dinner and I'm talking about work, but it's like, well, I'm talking to work about you because this is our business together. So it gets very hard to turn it off. So do you think you'll be able to find a happy medium when it comes to that?
Yeah, and that's where, I think church group is huge, and that's where I rely on you.
I appreciate that.
Being in a church group with with like-minded individuals who are already there before us. Yeah. Is, hey, how do you guys do this? How do you separate this? Because now, you and I had talked about this before. Now it all falls on me.
Yep.
Well, on us. But
Yep.
now there is her security blanket now is gone.
Yeah.
Our health insurance is now gone.
Yep.
Things like that. So now you're opening up little key pieces. But
Yeah.
our big goal is to get our kids into homeschool. That's been a goal of ours for a long time. Especially how easy it is, and now with the whole wave of what's going on, with our school systems, things like that, just the threats and, these kids that are trying to mold into being popular or liked, and they're missing out on God's gift to them.
100%.
And so with that, I just keep that as a main focus of, hey, God, you know what? Like, you are our main priority.
Yep.
And you will make this happen one way or another.
That's cool.
We just have to have full trust.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be a learning curve. Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. So we're part of a Tuesday night class. It's all couples that probably, most of them are working together or they have a business together. And that's where we met, and everyone kind of puts in their 2 cents. And it seems like when we all put our heads together, we come up with a way to solve problems in our business, our marriage, communication skills. So it's definitely a good group that we've been a part of. So I definitely appreciate being a part of that group as well.
Absolutely.
So, real estate right now. Is it a good time to buy, bad time to buy? Are you seeing more people buying investment properties? Is that even still, are people still buying Airbnbs? I mean, what's the market look like right now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there's a lot of changes in the market. You hear the headlines right now, it's a buyer's market. Mm-hmm. I don't like to label markets as buyer or seller. What a buyer's market is that there's an over inventory for the demand of buyers.
Okay.
So does that lead to better deals? Absolutely.
Yep.
Are you always going to find a seller who wants to go into their next chapter? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So seller market, with what we experienced during COVID.
Okay.
You have all these people overpaying for homes. It's the first time ever in my life I was rating appraisal waivers, appraisal contingency waivers like crazy.
Yeah.
So during that point in time, someone was willing to pay $100,000 over asking.
Whoa.
But now they won't take on a 2% extra interest rate, because the rates were 3%.
Yeah.
So the length of time that somebody owns a home is anywhere from about 3 to 5 years, maybe 7 years.
Okay.
So as a mortgage goes, we pay interest up front. It's interest heavy up front for the first 11 years, and then your principal. So if you plan to keep that house in 30 years, the interest rate is going to be a factor for you.
Yes.
But if you don't plan to have that house for 30 years, then the interest rate almost is non-existent.
Exactly.
Other than your monthly payment.
Yep.
So if you're going to stay in the house for 3 to 5 years, sometimes, we have babies. Sometimes our kids leave, we upsize, we downsize, we don't like the neighborhood anymore, job changes.
Schools, yep.
I mean, every single unforeseen circumstance that happens.
Yeah.
And so that's why I would say, if you're in the market right now, like, stay off of the news. Look at the Iran conflict.
I know,
Trump
right?
calls out the news all the time.
Yeah.
And so if you're in the market for a home, right now is a great time to buy, because we have seller concessions that is free money from the seller. Okay. If you're a seller, you have an influx of buyers who are going to come in and look at your property, maybe not in drones like they once were, but now it gives you an opportunity to fix up your house, paint your house, get all the things done. Because sometimes when you're doing that stuff, then you decide that you love the house.
Yeah.
So it's a benefit. And then, or you go into your next chapter. So, real estate, as far as investments, we have a lot of sub-2 deals now, which are kind of structured a little bit different. So you're just, basically subject to, so I'm going to subject to this house to you.
Okay.
You become the new bank. They put in a renter in there. So with the whole Pace Morby movement, that has gotten really big.
Okay.
But as far as investors, like from Canada, things like that, they're not very much.
It's not like it used to be.
Yeah, the house that we just got under contract today, they're moving back to Canada.
They're like, I'm tired of the USA.
Yeah, they're tired of this. So I would say if real estate is something that interests you, reach out to a real estate agent or to a loan officer. You always want to start with a pre-qualification letter, always, because that's just, you need to know how much you can afford.
Correct.
And then you look at the different options. I mean, there are so many different options. Seller concessions, there's seller financing, there's anything and everything that you can think about to get you into
you can even assume someone's current loan. I mean, current mortgage. I mean, we almost did that with the house that we bought, because we bought it from our in-laws. obviously you got to put a lot more money down because there's a few different things you can do, but you can assume people's loans for them. I mean, I don't know how common it is these days, but I heard many years ago it was a very common thing to do, to assume people's loans, because you keep the certain rate, you keep the rate that they're in, and you take over the mortgage and pay them out the difference and kind of go that route. So that's definitely common too.
Yeah. So on top of that,
yeah.
If somebody, let's just say there's $100,000 in equity that they need to pay out to assume that loan.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they have to come out of pocket for that. Well, blended financing, you can actually get a loan for that.
Oh.
So then you have your low interest rate, and then you have a loan on that as well, and then you pay that off, and then you got your low interest rate. But then if that person has paid on that house for 7 years, well, now you have a 23-year mortgage instead of a 30.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's benefits any way you look at it.
That's cool.
But I would just say, the real estate market is always good. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, there's always going to be somebody who wants to buy your home.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
What are mistakes that buyers are making these days? I mean, is there anything that's they're assuming because they hear it on TV or they see it online? Is there anything that buyers are making mistakes on right now, or anything they could think of?
So the biggest thing we're seeing right now is just lowball offers.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
100K less than what it is.
Yes, the home has been on the market for 40 days, 50 days. Yes, the sellers want to get on to their next chapter.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get a house for $100,000 cheaper.
No.
I mean, it's just, it's not what's going to happen.
No.
And so come in with realistic terms. Yes, you dictate kind of the terms right now with the buyer, but just know that there's a human on the other side too.
Correct.
That's using that money to now go and build their next chapter,
thing.
just like you're building your next chapter.
Yeah.
Be humane about it. Don't be so greedy that you're like, oh, I have to have this, or else I'm not doing it.
Or I'll find some other house.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're realtors. We work for buyers and sellers.
Yep.
We don't want to drive you around for weeks upon time, and you just
keep lowballing everyone. Yeah.
Right. Be realistic, or don't look at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then kind of going into that, I mean, what can buyers do right now to kind of incentivize the seller? I mean, closing costs. Is there anything that, home warranties, I know, is a thing that a lot of people throw in to sell homes. Is there something buyers can do to kind of incentivize the seller without discounting $100,000 out there, or?
Yeah, sometimes it's meeting their time frame.
Okay.
So it is like, what does that move look like? Are you moving out of state? Are you moving in state?
Okay.
What does that look like? Do you want this or do you want that? Whatever that personal experience is.
Okay.
So as a buyer's agent, when I'm writing an offer on a listing, I say, hey, is there anything in particular that your seller would like, us to include in this offer? And just kind of go like that, because with the real estate world, and it's the only industry that I've ever known, and if you're a realtor out there, please change. It's the only industry where two people can hate each other.
Oh yeah.
And
not even know each other.
And try to work to solve a problem, but just hate each other.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
I know.
Nobody will work with each other. So perfect example, and shout out to Dustin. He had a buyer contact him from Colorado Springs. Dustin lives in Gilbert.
Yeah.
Kind of just to go back what we talked about selling in your area. He calls me up and he says, hey, you know the West Side better than anybody that I know in my contact list.
Yep.
Can you please handle this buyer and just give me a referral fee? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're under contract. They're moving here from Colorado Springs. Buyer calls Dustin and says, you know what? Thank you so much. Man, Josh is like a good friend of ours now. And he was like, calls me, hey, thank you for treating these guys so good.
Nice.
He gets 25%.
Yeah.
He gets a house. He doesn't have to drive over here. It's so beautiful the way it works.
Yeah.
But we are so reluctant. We'll say, no, I'm going to go drive an hour and a half to go show
I
you
want
property.
that. Yep.
I want that, right? For an extra $2,000.
Yeah.
So I always get on the phone and I just introduce who I am to the agent. And I say, hey, I'm going to be assisting if our offer gets accepted. I'm going to be handling this transaction. What's the best way to communicate with you? Do you have a transaction coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like email, text, phone calls?
Yep.
How are you on weekend phone calls? How are you with this? Because now you just set that expectations up front. And then when you close on the deal, it's like, that was easy. That was fun.
Yeah.
Because then your clients feel it.
Exactly. They know it wasn't stressful. They were.
Yeah. So if the two agents are feuding right off the bat, well, number one, and we get this a lot. They'll submit offers without even calling us. Like, they'll look at the property And then next thing you know, you pull up your email, there's an offer in there, and they never even call, never
Right.
introduce herself.
Oh,
like,
man, that's the worst.
I was like, is this real? Is it not? Like, what's going on? And so you get every walks of life.
Oh, you do.
And so, you know, I would just say, like, just camaraderie, you know, community within our real estate.
Yeah.
You know,
Makes a
business.
world of difference.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Yeah. I was going to piggyback off that. When we sold our house, the person would not buy our house unless we we built a Costco kind of like a outdoor shade structure. And we were going to take it, we were going to build it. And they're like, no, we're not buying the house unless you put that in there. And I'm like, fans, I mean, like you said, this is really the only industry. It's like you can pick and choose out of the house what you want. Like TVs or, you know, stuff that's on the wall has to stay, you know, so you could pull the TV off, but you have to leave the mount. It's like, well, how am I going to put my new TV now? You got to buy all new mounts. But yeah, they wanted that and the water softener and just certain stuff where I'm like, why would you not just do this yourself or go? So it is a very interesting world that real estate agents live in now, because I can only imagine being a real. I thought about it, realized it's way too much, and I don't. It's a whole different. You have to 100% be in that industry. You can't. I feel like what they say, 95% of the homes are sold by 5% of the real estate agents.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to be. So anyone who wants to be a realtor, it's hard to be a part-time realtor. I mean, you may sell 1 or 2 houses a year, but that's a hard living to live off of. 15, 20, 30 grand for a whole year and doing all the other stuff you're doing. So it's definitely.
And everybody knows a realtor.
Oh yeah.
I just had this conversation with the seller because her nephew or cousin or something like that is trying to educate her from California. Okay, so
2 different markets.
Way different markets. You know, out here we're a lot more casual.
Yeah.
So if you think that your realtor is going to show up in a suit, they're not.
No.
You know, so I wear a branded hat and a branded shirt. You know, and so he said to her, "It looks like your realtor is going to a ball game today." And I was like, "Well." So then, so of course, you know, I handled that really professional.
Yeah.
And then I got off of that phone call, and on my feed, I screenshotted every single Facebook ad come through about showings.
Yeah.
And every single one of them was a gentleman in a shirt and a branded hat. So I screenshotted 8 of them. And by that time, I had to prove my point. I said,
exactly.
Well, I said, here's the stuff that's happening in Arizona. Like, this is what we do.
Yep.
But everybody knows a cousin, a brother, an uncle, a nephew, niece that has a real estate license. The barrier entry of real estate is non-existent. 90 hours on a test. It's super simple.
Yep.
You know, but you have to go through the experiences to understand the deals and how they flow and what it's like to lose one out of escrow or overcome a Binzer or things like that. And then so I always say, not using your uncle or your family is probably going to be a good idea because they don't do it full time.
No.
And they don't live it. They don't know. Like a seller compensation agreement is a new form from the lawsuit. You know, not a lot of people know how to even handle those compensation. And so you get a whole bunch of different buyers agents and listing agents who are not really in it for the right reasons. They're in it as a side hustle.
Want to make an extra 20 grand every 6 months.
But you're handling a purchase of $500,000.
Exactly.
And my brother used to say it best. He goes, if you're going to go to a cardiologist, are you going to go to one that's part-time or full-time?
Exactly.
We get one shot at this.
You get one shot of it.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to some time, but I got a couple more questions. So for the audience, rentals, is that still a good idea right now?
Rentals, if you're going to keep them long-term.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you have long-term in mind, because right now with the interest rates at...
And what's long-term? More than 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I would probably say longer than at least 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
If you're going to hold them for, like, if that's in your portfolio for a long time, and I'll give you an example. We bought a tract home in the plans of just renting it out because we're building a custom home right now. And so we're going to keep that for 30 years.
Okay.
And I'm going to duplicate that probably 2 or 3 more times.
Awesome.
Now, I'm not looking for the return right this second. I'm looking at in the next 20, 25 years... I'm going to have $2 million worth of assets and homes plus passive income.
Nice. And
now I'm going to be, the landlord and kind of deal with that. Some people don't like to be landlords, but there are property management companies that handle those, so you don't
take a small fee.
Right. It's usually 10 to 15% of the monthly rent and you just hands off.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something that is turnkey, gonna create you all this money right this second, rentals are probably not it. Because if you buy a house at $400,000 at a 6.4% interest rate, then the rental value to your mortgage payment, you're probably going to be in the deficit.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to pay a little bit of money on that right now.
Okay.
In hopes that you get to where you want. So if that's something, 1031 exchanges are really popular because then they don't have to pay the taxes. They can identify a property. Those are popular, things like that for rentals. But I mean, if you're looking right now and you say, hey, you know what, I want an Airbnb, I want these Airbnb, what's that, Verbo, things like that.
Yep.
They're always changing. The fees are always changing. HOAs are starting to not limit
Yep.
these in things.
Certain areas. Yes.
Short-term rentals, they'll always be a thing. You can do the depreciation on your interest, things like that. And so it works for a person that's in a specific situation.
Okay, so they have to be in the right situation.
Right, but for long-term, so my long-term goal is to have anywhere from 6 to 10 doors, have some passive income. We're looking in the Midwest right now to buy fourplexes, things like that.
That's cool.
That's what we're doing right now.
I like it. What should a beginner, so someone that's beginning to look for a house, what are some things you can give them advice on? I mean, just a couple points that they should be looking for. Is it don't go above your needs? I mean, what are some key points you tell a new home buyer, a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, absolutely. So location, location, location. We say it 3 times because that is the most important thing.
Okay.
You can change walls, you can change things that are not load-bearing, but you cannot change location.
Okay.
So I always say miles to work. If you drive, what is that commute going to be?
Yeah.
If you have kids, do they play sports? Where are the fields located?
Yeah.
Because those are going to be your top 2. Right, and then you look at grocery stores, amenities, things like that. And then
Makes sense.
And then you have a sheet. You put a line down, and you have must-haves and you have wants.
Okay.
Must-haves. If I have 2 kids, it must be a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
Right. Mom and dad is in one.
Kids are in the other. Yep.
2 little kids. Right.
Okay.
You're not going to stack 2 or 3 kids in one room. I mean, it's just for the longevity. And if it's a problem, it's a small problem right now, it will turn into a gigantic problem later on. Meaning, oh yeah, I think I can put up with this drive. Yeah. And then in a year, you're like, oh, this drive.
And you're like, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
I know. Yep. I
and
get
then,
that.
Also just reach out to a mortgage professional. Yeah. Because if they do a pre-qualification, it's a soft pull. We run into this all the time. I don't want to run my credit. It's a soft pull. Yeah. It's not going to hurt.
It's not a hard pull until you're ready to, they fund it.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. Yep. Unless you're ready to be funded. And then also being married to a house. Yeah. Just because you qualify for a $800,000 house doesn't mean that you have to go buy that. Yes. Because then you have car payments and you have cars that break down. Oh yeah. And one decision can lead into another that puts you into a financial hole.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that.
Absolutely.
So a couple rapid fire questions, just fun ones towards the end. Most unusual client story. Do you have any?
Oh, I just closed it. Oh man. Yeah. So I have a buyer contact me. I want to buy this house. Perfect. Submit the offer. Turns out they have the real estate license. They don't practice real estate. Okay, he's in construction. Okay. So they paid a company to put it on the MLS, which goes out to all the buyers. Yeah. And so that's where I saw it. And so no representation at all on their side. Okay, so we write the offer and they say, all right, we'll sign it tonight and we want to work with you guys. And that was at $855,000. $855,000. Yeah. And then the next morning comes and she goes, well, we actually got 2 more offers. And I said, oh, okay. Price is now $905,000. If you go up to $905,000, we're good because I wrote this big long cover letter. Yeah. How they're involved in our church. How the location is next to her dad and her other friends, and just everything, it just fit their needs so well. Yeah. 905, deal's done. All right, cool. 905, boom. Next, like that day into the next morning, 10 o'clock, 10:10 exactly. I'll never forget this. And she goes, actually, we got another offer. And I was like, I'm looking, so I screenshot her text message. I said, it's not about the money. I really want your family to have this at 905. Well, they're qualified at 915. Yeah. So she goes, 920, we'll get the deal done. I was like, you said that at 905. Yeah. So I gave them $5,000 of my commission. And then, so we wrote the offer at 915 and with $5,000 buyer agent credit. And then, so they accepted it. Whew. Dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
So we're 3 days into our inspection period, and because they only paid to have their house put on the MLS, that company is not following their transaction. So even though I emailed this company and said, hey guys, we're under contract, please put this as pending, it was still active in the MLS. And so they get another offer.
Oh.
And this offer, so she calls me, I'm at a Cincinnati Reds spring training game.
Oh, man.
And she goes, I'm going to need your clients to cancel this contract. I said, well, it doesn't work that way.
No, it does not.
We own the rights to it until our inspection period. And that just irked her so bad because now she's looking at the loss, but that offer should have never ever came. Because I should have been under contract.
Exactly,
3 days earlier.
Yes.
You know, and then so she goes, well, we're not going to make any repairs. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. Basically making it a detriment to move forward.
Yeah.
Just so we could cancel. And I told her, I said, I've never had a seller call me and ask my buyers to cancel the contract.
Ever. Who would?
So anyways, I knew that their earnest money was becoming hard because they put a house, they were building a house in Idaho.
Oh.
So I knew that their earnest money was hard. Well, it was 2 days before our Binzer was due for our 10-day inspection period. So I had the leverage. So I was like, the inspection report shows some sprawlage on the cement, which was some of the foundation stuff, and the pool pump was leaking and the spa was leaking. I said, well, we really want, some seller credit on this because, and she goes, like I told you, we're not going to fix anything, da, 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 da. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, we have until 11:59 on this day to submit the Binzer. I'll talk to my clients. So I purposely allowed that.
The whole time.
The whole time. And her earnest money went hard and I submitted our Binzer because now I was like, you either can help us with the seller credit,
or you lose your money.
Or you lose your earnest money. And then in that process, they didn't do a septic inspection. The real estate agency that put their house in the MLS said it was city water. It was actually well water. So now you have to get the water test. That takes 10 days from the lab. You have to do the flow rate. Like there's so much more involved. She didn't do the solar addendum. She didn't do the solar transfer. Like there was nothing going on. So now I'm handling both sides of this transaction. But I don't even need to because she has representation from this other place. But she doesn't because they're representing themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh. And so it was just it was a nightmare. And so
they end up buying?
Yeah, we ended up closing, and so halfway through, she sends me a text message, the homeowner. I feel like you're only representing the buyers. You have not represented us one time. I said, because you're right.
That's my job.
I have a representation, a residential disclosure election form for my buyers.
Exactly.
I said, that company who put your house on the MLS, and you guys, because you have a real estate license, are representing yourselves.
Exactly.
She goes, well, per the lawsuit, we're trying to pay zero commission at all. And I was like, okay, well, we submitted you a seller compensation agreement that you signed.
Yeah.
I said, so now I'm charging my buyers 3% per my buyer broker, but now you're taking on the 3% that I'm charging them and you're paying me. She goes, well, that's not right. That's not how the lawsuit is. And I was like, well, you should have had some representation,
right. And that's the point we're trying to make is having the right real estate agent.
It was a nightmare. Just all the mean text messages, just making it so hard for this beautiful family to get this home. It didn't need to be that hard. We should have got it, $30,000 cheaper. They were playing the games, and ultimately it ended up costing me $5,000. Them too much money in the end, but. I think we were still undervalued. It came in under appraised, which is awesome. Yeah. And everybody's happy.
So they walk in with some equity.
I'll tell you what, man, I should have charged her another 3%.
Exactly for how much you're doing.
Yeah, they left us with a broken dishwasher. It was just not right. But.
Holy cow. All right, last one. Let me see. I think this would be good. What's one habit that changed your life?
Oh, one habit that changed my life. I would say...
Or one thing. I mean, habit thing, something that you're doing consistently that you feel like has bettered the life of you, your family, your business, career.
Yeah, I would say getting closer to God. And I don't just mean like showing up to church like on a Sunday and that's it, because I'm in 3 neighborhood groups, 1 business, 1 family, and 1 men's. And then on top of that, I'm in ministry, but more so building the relationship with God. That's awesome. When I sit here and pray, I don't pray to the sky. I pray right here, like He's sitting here with me. You know, I get very
Talk to
intentional. Yeah, very intentional of what I say. I used to pray, Lord, you know, give me this, give me that, help me with this, help me with that. And then now my prayer is a little bit different. I said, God, use me how you need me to be a disciple down here on earth for you. I said, please allow me to become more obedient. Please allow me to cast all, you know, my worries, my doubts, my fear, everything to you, because I know that you have it. I said, please open up doors you want me to walk through. I said, please bless me so I can bless others. So like the prayer has become a little bit different. And now
cool.
I find myself getting these urges, and it's like, you know, go help him there, go do this, go here, you know, go and sign up for this.
Yeah,
I just
cool.
recently moved from the 2-year-olds to the junior highs at CCD.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm now with the junior highs.
Yes.
And little did I know that the coaches, you know, had the junior high kids come over to their house.
No.
Well, 6 years in the making of building this house, we're finally building this house, and now I have ample room to bring these junior highs.
That's cool.
You
That's
know,
all
it's
God.
just like,
Oh, yeah.
you just look at these little things, you know, and the unexplainable is undeniable.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it's God's time. It's, you know, it's never early, it's never late, it's always perfect.
It sure is.
And the more I just try to talk to him, the more I just try to just be in his presence and be obedient, the more life comes.
That's cool.
And I can tell anybody who's watching this, a life on this side and the life of this side of Christ is two different lives.
100%.
So lock in, get baptized, give your life to the Lord, and just
cool.
go all in.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Well, thank you so much, Josh. How can they get a hold of you? We'll put some notes in the YouTube channel as well, but how can someone get a hold of you?
Yeah, Joshua Trevilian, Copper Lux Homes, 623-251-0432. JoshuaTrevilian.com is my website. I have a Buyer's Academy, 54 minutes, 9 videos that walks you through what a pre-qual is, what the purchase contract looks like, the documents, searching for homes, final walkthroughs, keys in your hand, and everything in between.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we make it as easy as we can, but empowering yourself and getting educated is the first step into home buying.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Josh.
man, thanks
I
for having me,
appreciate it.
dude.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.